Yay! All
Hooray!
right. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing day 3? Can you believe it? It's been 3 days already. I know some people are at different paces. There's people that started yesterday, and that's okay because guess what? We got bonus days for you tomorrow. So again, this is day 3 of the official presentation, but we have a special guest that we want you to mark your calendars for tomorrow at same time this week. We're going to be doing 9:30 tomorrow and Friday as well because we just love you guys and we want to make sure you get the full experience of what the Daniel Challenge is and really making sure you have all the tools you need to apply this within your home, within your life, and to stay strong and stay committed. So today we're going to be getting into the emotional roots of diabetes. But before we discuss that, I want to just recap yesterday. So we talked a little bit about, the little science and why fats and carbs are meant to be exclusive fuels and why the modern way that we've grown up eating has mixed the two and has caused them to compete and hinder each other for digestive and metabolism superiority within your body. And so, hi, Carol. Hey, Grace. I love seeing y'all. Your beautiful faces. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited for day 3. And I just have to tell you guys a crazy story that happened during our live stream yesterday. Just as I was processing it after the fact, like it was a pretty profound moment in that it highlighted kind of what's going on in the spiritual world, in the physical world with this information. Because I'm sure a lot of you, raise of hands if you guys are on the stream yet, how many of you were shocked to learn this information and shocked that your doctor or your dietitian or your education system never presented this to you before? Like right here, like I was just shocked. And so during that stream yesterday, there was actually someone like trying to distract and hinder the live stream. As you saw, I was in a public setting at a cafe because my internet was going down at my home. And it was someone who was trying to suppress the information. And they were trying to blast things and make really loud noises. And they even like said a curse word to my husband who was sitting next to me. And you know what? It really took me staying strong, staying focused, staying anchored in God, knowing that He wants me to get this information out. And when I replayed, when I watched the replay, like you couldn't even tell that person was there. Right. And so it was such a clear example of like what's going on in the world that we have to overcome. Right. This information needs to get out, but there's going to be people trying to, have it not come through. So we are just so grateful you're here and receptive to learning this information. And we encourage you to continue on this education plan, continue learning and continue sharing what you know, because it's going to take an army of God's soldiers. Like Grace said, the angels, we had this vision during our intercessory prayer call that the angels are being released and they're coming down and they're here to help fight this battle with us. And I feel it and I felt it. I experienced it like in person yesterday. Like this person was if you go back and look at the stream, you're going to see this guy in orange that was like pacing behind me. And like, it was so bizarre. Like he was possessed. Like I was just so caught off guard. So like, I'm so thankful that God is just protecting us. He's protecting us and He's making sure that as long as we are obedient and we stay committed, that nothing can harm us and nothing, we have that armor of God around us. And so anyways, I'm just excited for today because we've gone through the science stuff, but now we're going to come back around. You've already got your heart like Daniel. And now we're going to get that emotional root of diabetes. We're going to tackle that today. And to me, that's the most important piece to this, because without your mind and your heart synced and set, like, that's what's ultimately going to allow you to make those disciplined choices that sometimes they're not easy. Like, we're going to be honest with you. This isn't meant to be just a cakewalk or like whatever you call it. Like some people, it will be a struggle, but it's having that mental and emotional component ready to go and ready to honor God that is going to allow you just to soar sore, and I'm just, yeah, I'm excited for what God has for you. So Miss Devin, how's it going? You want to give people a little more of what they're getting into today?
Hey, hey, it's so great to be here. I've had has anyone ever noticed if you had an opportunity to teach something, if you have an opportunity to share something powerful, it's like you get opportunities to practice what you're preaching, right? And so it has been an incredible day. Um, I just think about how, even one of our challengers had an opportunity to wake up and some of the things I'm going to be talking about today, I had an opportunity to share this wisdom as she reached out to me and she was like, I've got problems with my blood sugar and I feel discouraged and I don't know, like, what do you think I should do? Like, do I need to fast? What's wrong? Like, I just feel really discouraged. And I was like, wow, like, what a perfect setup. Like, knowing and growing in the Lord, it's not like I definitely did not rejoice in the place where she was and the struggle she was having. But I was just like, wow, God, like how you set us up for opportunities to recognize what you're doing and to grow into it with you. And so, hey, Grace, welcome this morning. I'm really excited for what we're going to dive into. These are things that I've never heard these things taught in church. And I never knew. I just deemed myself as like, well, not very responsible. I'm not very good at this or that. Like, I don't have a lot of self control, even though the Bible says otherwise. Through my experience, I, instead of taking God's word and really being able to receive it as true from a heart level, does that make sense? Like, have you ever experienced where you know God's word in your head, but you can't get it to work in your life? Like, if anyone can relate to that, it's like, it's such a frustrating place to be. And a lot of times, like, that's a place, an invitation that the Lord wants us to press in with Him, press in and seek Him, right? Like, that's an invitation to seek the Lord and learn. He has wisdom available. The Bible says in James, right? Like, you don't have because you don't ask. Like, come on, ask for wisdom. And I'm not going to rebuke you. I want to give it to you, but I want to do it in relationship. And so maybe you can relate. And I, for many years, did not recognize that a lot of my struggles with emotional eating were around not having any tools in my toolbox and knowing how to deal with the emotions and specifically like heart wounds from when I was a child. Not only did my parents not have any tools, no one in church had any tools. And so I am just utterly grateful, indebted to the Lord for the path that He has allowed me to walk. Of personally walking through this struggle so that I could learn the process, so that I could partner with Him, so that I could, have that personal invitation to seek wisdom and learn how to be empowered. So, if anyone is like so ready to learn some tools, some strategies, some information around how to break free from emotional eating, would you just shout in the comments, me? Like, I'm ready. This stuff lights me up. Even though I'm a registered dietitian, I love the fact that God has given Delia all of this knowledge as far as the nutrition goes, so that she can present and be an expert in the nutrition. I mean, we both are just like, uh-oh.
I'm texting her. I got her.
Thank you.
Kristen's trying to find the link. I'm putting it in the comments, girl. I see you.
Yeah, and yeah, so like we are both again, we talked about it yesterday. We're just such a picture perfect like team slay diabetes, right? But this emotional component, I believe, when we get, because a lot of times some people have the right food information. And I found that as a nutritionist, I was so frustrated. I was like, knowing what to eat and what not to eat is a part of the problem. But and it's so awesome. Like I am in awe of all that God has showed Delia and her knowledge, and it's so awesome. It's such an important piece of the puzzle. But this piece, I feel like it's like a key that can unlock success in the nutrition side. Like if you know that fruits and veggies are healthy, anyone, is that a shock? like I think we know that, right? And it's like, you know that, and you don't know how to make that a lifestyle, right? That's the problem. And it's a lot of emotional factors. And that's why we associate pleasure with in the indulgence foods from the king's table, right? Like if you think about, well, for me, I think about how excited my kids get to go to church because they serve donuts there, right? And it's like, hang on. We all know better. Like, could we have a buffet from Eden of apples and oranges? But no, like we go to church and we serve donuts, right? And so it's like, you want to be closer to God, eat God's food. Switch out that donut with, some real food. But these are the kind of things like we associate because of the science around the pleasure center in the brain. Like every scientific discovery can be used, that information can be used for good or for evil, right? To bring us into alignment with the way God designed us and the freedom he designed us to walk in. Or it can be, unfortunately, and has been used by the food industry. Now every single big processed food company has hired food chemists, food engineers to be able to design their food in the most addictive way. So, like Delia said yesterday, we've been wrongly imprisoned. We've been completely just like, if I think about the way I think about it with my kids and the way this battle against Babylon, it's like there is an onslaught of places and thoughts in our culture of trying to hijack our taste buds, right? And it's a battle. It literally is a battle. We have to take a stand like Daniel in order to win this battle. And I believe that God calling you here today is his invitation for you to take a stand in a way that is going to, again, we've titled this the joy, like walking in the joy of becoming a diabetes slayer. Like that's the message for today, because not only do we have the hope for healing from day one, we have the answer to, does the Bible have solutions that will allow us to break off the chains of diabetes? And it's like, yes, the answer is yes to peace, of knowing the truth that will set us free, right? And the science confirms it, and that's so powerful. But again, like we started with, like if you don't have the tools to overcome any kind of negative emotions or self-sabotaging emotions and habits, with the correct knowledge, if you don't have the tools to overcome and apply it and walk it out, then it's almost more frustrating. Like I've been in that place where it's like, grr, I know God's truth. Like, how do I get this to work? And I'm telling you today, the key is in your emotions. So are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to dive in? I've got the wrong browser pulled up. Let me try that. Delia, you want to give some shout outs to those that are joining us live?
Yeah. Hi, Carrie. She's saying sometimes she just has to be still and dig deeper in his word, shut out the noise, and she is ready. Yes.
Hey, Terry. So glad you could join us.
Priscilla made it too.
Woo! Okay. Yeah. So, Priscilla, I love this timing. Like, God is so strategic. His timing is perfect. And I just love how you are able to bring those struggles and your vulnerabilities into this group, into this community. Priscilla, you have been such an example of what it looks like when you had a struggle with your doctor, you brought it to us and we were able to walk alongside of you. And now that, I mean, look at this, like, we're talking about emotions, so let's see what God has. I'm really, really excited. And even though you are still on the emotional roller coaster, I just want to say props to you for showing up, for not giving up, for knowing that this community is a source of strength for you. And I can't wait to see what God releases in this time together. So let me quickly pray and we will dive in. Again, if you know anyone who needs this message, if you like, I'm thinking of some other people that have been on live with us other days. If anyone has seen a friend, made a friend here on the lives in the comments, and they're not here today, I know we had some technical difficulties um, getting the video in the unit section and these things. So with that, go ahead and tag a friend. Lots of friends to tag while I go ahead and pray. Father, you are so, so, so good to us. And I just thank you for the way that you love us, you protect us, you provide for us. And Holy Spirit, thank you for being our comforter, the one who nurtures us. And I just pray, Lord, right here, that you would teach our hearts to be still, just like David spoke of his heart being at rest to the point that he was like a weaned child on his mother's lap. Like, that's the picture of where our hearts, the invitation that you have for us today, of where our hearts need to be, just in that place. Jesus said, right as he was going to the cross, it was the worst day in human history in one aspect, in the natural, right? His disciples had been following him, where they were completely convinced, and yet they still didn't see the prophecy that he had to die, he had to be crucified, and they didn't catch it in the natural. But Jesus tells them in John 14, my peace I give to you. Or all of John 14 through John 16, it's just Jesus's words of comfort, of blessing. He was trying to just fill their hearts with peace, hope, joy, love, the ability to persevere through what they were about to endure in the natural. And so, Jesus, I thank you for your invitation to us today to be like David, the same invitation, Jesus, that you extended to your disciples in that day of trial. I thank you that that's your invitation to us today. And I ask that you would just help us to fully surrender our hearts. Give us revelation and wisdom, eyes to see and ears to hear. What is it that you're speaking to each one of us, and that we can take away from this session and apply it and walk in, begin to walk through relational transformation, walk out the victory that you have for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. So okay, look at you guys. We're all like set up, ready for breakthrough, going through an emotional time.
Oh.
What if you're okay? Oh, wow, Eva. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here, Eva. Welcome. Okay, if there is such thing. I don't know if there is such a thing, but I love that that question. Like, let's bring that before the Lord. What if your struggle is emotional non-eating? So it sounds like, and I, based on what I know, you're asking, when you deal with difficult emotions, instead of having your appetite turn towards um, you know, junk foods or foods that you know are not going to help you thrive or achieve your health goals, but it's rather it's almost like a loss of appetite, or you're turning away from food altogether. And yeah, let's see if the Lord has some revelation on that, for you as we speak. I just invite you right here, Eva, and each one of us, just the question, the desire, the question that you want answered. Why don't you bring that before the Lord? Just imagine Him sitting there, right there in the room with you. And if you want to imagine yourself just kind of childlike, your heart full of faith, full of trust in Him, maybe you experience the Lord right there as a good Father, wonderful counselor. Just notice how He wants to reveal His nature to you in this moment. And I just want to give you a second to take the questions in your heart and bring them before the Lord. And then I want you to ask Him, Lord, will you give me eyes to see and ears to hear the way that you want to respond to me? Help me not to miss your answer. I give you time and space in my heart to speak to me regarding these questions. Lord, I thank you that you just delight in being in our midst, being in our presence, and you're all about relationship. And so I have confidence that as you've placed those questions and thoughts in your heart before the Lord, that He does want to bring clarity. He wants to bring understanding. And it may not be something that is directly spoken here, but I encourage you to keep your eyes and your ears open throughout the day, throughout the rest of the week, as the Lord wants to, He wants to speak to you. And we got to have our receivers tuned in to His radio station. All right. So as we begin, you think about like what actually causes emotional eating. This is the same thing that's at the root of all addictive cycles. All of it. There are mindsets, there are traumas, pain, heart wounds, and just emotions that we've never been taught how to deal with them, how to really deal with them in a biblical way. And so I want you to take 1 second and just think about, like, in the moments of, and this, for me, this has been a process, like being able to identify actually what emotion is behind that compulsion to eat, or to, like, for me, like, it's chocolate, like all day long, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. But like, and here's the thing, I've had many people tell me, like, chocolate's not a sin. Come on, like, that's crazy. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so legalistic. But I know for me, like, I see it in all of my family. Like, everyone on one side of the family has a propensity towards chocolate addiction. And we can laugh about it, but it's not funny when you think about the fact that I know that for me, when I'm seeking comfort, I'm looking for chocolate instead of looking for Jesus. And I literally had an encounter with the Lord in an inner healing session recently. And there was a moment where we asked, like, Jesus, is there anything that you want Devin's heart to know right now? And the answer, the impression that I had in my heart, what the Lord spoke to me, he said, I want to be your chocolate chip. And I just love that because he was speaking my language. He knew exactly, and I knew exactly what that meant, right? It's like, girl, like, come on. You can live without chocolate chips. You can live without chocolate. I want to, and this is the most beautiful thing about Jesus. He honors our free will. He knows our heart wounds. He knows that a lot of times these habits have been like coping mechanisms. They've been the only thing that we know to turn to get us by, right? And he's not going to ask us to give up something until he's first given us something. And so, yeah, God is amazing. Like he wants to be that thing for us. He wants to be our source of comfort. He wants to fill the need that we have. He knows our emotional needs. He knows our struggles. And yet he's going to honor our free will. And so today we're going to take some time to just to do this in a relational setting. So we talked about okay, really quick, I want to ask you if you think about your journey with diets and roller coaster, like I've tried this and couldn't stick with it. Tried this and like, you know, that diet cycle. A lot of times when you start something, like even if you think about New Year's resolutions, right? It's like, okay, I'm determined. It is not for a lack of determination. It is not for a lack of self-control. This is a Mythbusters. I promise you, in Christ, you have the self-control that you need. You have access to it. And we're gonna tap into that a little bit here today. So it was not your lack of determination. It was not your lack of trying. It was not a lack of effort. What it was, if you think back, see if you can notice some underlying emotions or self-sabotaging habits that were the root cause of what, you know, kicked you off track. There were emotions maybe of defeat. There were emotions of maybe hopelessness. There you go. Or doubt, like, you know, is this really going to work? Is this, you know, I'm putting in all this effort and I'm not convinced that I'm going to actually see the results. Or you connected to an emotion of defeat that you had in the past because you had tried something before and you had failed. And that defeat can literally, it can kill our motivation. It can kill our determination before we even get started. Like you might get to the grocery store and you're already feeling defeated and you come home with stuff that you know shouldn't be on your plan, right? Anyone been there? Okay, maybe it's just me. Like, y'all, I'm just trying to be vulnerable because I can relate. I promise you I can relate. So these strategies we're going to talk about are powerful. All right. So yesterday we talked a lot about the dietary fats, right? The dietary root cause of diabetes being related to excess fat being in the cells, excess fat that blocks that insulin receptor. And it's so crazy because as we were preparing for our challenge, the Lord like gave us this FATS acronym for the root causes of like the emotional root causes. Fats. So there's emotional fats and there's dietary fats that we want to avoid in a sense. And I'm not saying avoidance in a sense of like emotional like stuffing, because we know that doesn't work, right? It's anything that you stuff down deeper or try to suppress, it's gonna come out sideways. Like it gets really ugly really fast. And so with that, these emotional fats are actually the root cause of many times the root cause of our carb cravings, our sugar cravings, our junk food cravings. And what that looks like, the FATs, if you look at the acronym, F for fear, A for anger, T for tension, S for stress. And what that looks like is, okay, thank you, Lord. We experience these things and they are natural responses, right? Like God is the one who put anger in us, right? The Bible even says, be angry and sin not. It's like God wants us to be angry. We can be angry at injustice. We can be angry, but we need to know how to bring those things into his presence, bring those things into relationship with him. Where if you look through the Psalms, like this is the best exercise ever. If you just read through the Psalms, the realness, the authenticity, the freedom that the psalmist had to bring all of it to God. Like, I think about Habakkuk. Habakkuk is like, I'm going to come bring my complaint before God, and then I'll see what he says. like, I love that. I love that Habakkuk and biblical authors had the freedom, like, not to stuff their emotions because it's not a godly emotion, but to bring it before the Lord and process it with the Lord. And so I want to just share this with you because I believe that as we learn to do this, as we learn, I'm going to get a little bit into the tie-in between the emotions and the carb cravings, or the sugar cravings, or the anything cravings. But if you like the invitation to God, like I prayed, if you maybe jumped in a little bit later, welcome. I saw someone else just jumped in. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. But this thought about David shares in the Psalms, my heart is like a weaned child. I'm like a weaned child in my mother's lap. Like he's being persecuted. His life is threatened, right? He has all the reasons to be stressed out. And yet he says, my heart is like a weaned child. Like it's still in your lap. Like just my heartbeat against your heartbeat, right? And this is the invitation that God is asking us when we experience these emotions. If you experience a carb craving, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, like, what's eating me? It's not asking where are the chocolate chips. It's not asking how can I get my hands on a bag of chips? Like whatever like cakes, whatever the thing is for you. It's not asking how can I get my hands on that to satisfy that craving. It's taking a moment and asking the Lord intentionally, God, what is eating at me? What emotion is eating at me right now? Help me to identify it. And I want to share this, that picture of the weaned child, because I shared with my daughter. I wasn't trying to share it with her, but I said one day in the house, I was like, I'm just feeling really stressed out right now. And she was like, Mommy, what's that? Like, what's stress? And I explained it. I told her like what it felt like to be stressed out. And she was like, yeah, I can't relate to that. And I love that because here's the picture. As God's children, he never wants us to get out of that place of knowing that we are cared for, that we are his children, that we are protected. And so when we encounter these emotions, I just want to encourage you that there is a place in relationship with the Lord of being able to have a still heart. It's the process of learning to abide, right? It's the process of, like the psalmist, bringing everything before the Lord. And rather than leaning into physical things, food, or other addictive things to satisfy and comfort us, he invites us into this place of relational transformation, of this place of abiding, where we get to learn how to process those emotions with the mind of Christ, how to process those emotions in relationship with him. So I want to share really quickly homeostasis. Have you ever heard this term? Like, raise your hand if you're familiar with the term homeostasis. I remember even in school, as I learned this term, it's the body's desire to be in balance, right? It's the body's, like, almost like this brilliant system that God built in for like checks and balances. Like when you're off balance, like one quick example, and I hope this blesses someone like on the nutrition side as well. So our blood pH has to remain within a very, 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 very tiny window, right around 7.3, 7.4. Like it's very, very, very specific. The pH of our blood has to remain at that level or we'll die, right? Like, so homeostasis is the process of, okay, oh my gosh, I just drank a soda. Well, now my body has systems in place because God is brilliant. His wisdom is perfect. This design is amazing. My body has systems in place that when I pour something incredibly acidic into my system, when my actually, my blood, I thrive in an alkaline environment. The body actually has processes and it will send signals that will actually bring out calcium. Calcium is a very alkaline substance. Unfortunately, calcium, the source of calcium that it draws out to keep us alive is our bones, right? So our bones, the process of osteoporosis is related to acidic overconsumption of acidic foods. We can talk more about that another time, another place. But what I want you to know is that your body has these checks and balances, and so that you do not die, no matter what kind of junk or alcohol, anything that we put in our bodies, God has put a system in place. Our body has the wisdom to keep us alive through a process called homeostasis. And so that being said, we are wired in there's just so many things about this. There's a lot of levels to it. Like we're designed to have that balance, right? So, you think about the system in our body, the response mechanism, fight or flight, right? That system, where we tap into the I don't know, I'm blanking. Lord forgive me. I love it. Yeah, we tap into that fight or flight, right? It's like this, where the stress in nature, if you think about just being out in the wild, like think about David and that lion or that bear came after his sheep. His body went into this fight or flight mode, right? That those stressors, like that is there for our protection. That is not there for us to it's not supposed to be a bad thing, right? It was designed to be a good thing. And so that the system of chemicals that floods our bodies and brains when we're in a position of threat, that is supposed to be a protective measure for us to run, run away from getting eaten or fight it, right? And so that process is actually going on kind of at a lower level when we're stressed out about modern life. Our body, our brain doesn't really know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat when we tend to meditate on and worry about things. And so that being said, it's meant to be good, but it has come to a place where, it can be, it's just been over exerted, right? And our bodies are tired. And we need to learn, we need tools in our modern day for how to deal with stress. Otherwise, we're always going to have those addictive cycles being kind of underlying in our emotions. So I want to share, because here's something you need to know about homeostasis and that fight or flight process. When you feel stress, when you feel overwhelmed, like, is there anyone that feels concerned for our nation, right? Have you been watching the news and it just puts you in a negative state of fear, of anger, of tension or stress? Like if you watch these things and you perceive it as a threat, your body is actually being activated to where it's releasing cortisol. The cortisol hormone is thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in the wilderness. I need to defend myself. I need energy to run away. And it raises blood glucose. That's God's design to protect you. But in that moment, it's not an actual, physical threat that you need the blood glucose levels high so that you have energy ready to go into the cells and let you run away from the lion, right? And so that being said, it's if you're not seeing the numbers that you want, a lot of the root could be emotional as well. And to show you the power of this, I want to I just want to read you something that one of our precious, uh, maybe she's here today, and I asked permission to share her story. She actually went live in the group, or not live, but she went in the group last challenge. But Dawn, shout out to Dawn Riley Keith. I know you've been walking through this challenge with us, but I want to share the power of this with you because I think for a lot of us, we get caught up thinking the numbers are just about the food. There's more to it. There's a lot more to it. The emotional component is very important. And that's something. So I'm just going to share with you what Dawn reached out to me during our last challenge. She said, I just want to tell you that I believe just from the amazing prayer and worship and scripture, my numbers have been going down. Like she mentioned to me earlier in the conversation, she did not have a chance to start the food plan, but she was watching along with the videos. And once she had a chance to buy groceries and get the food piece on board, the results were amazing. But look at these numbers. Look at these numbers before she even started eating the Daniel Challenge way. She said, my evening numbers are always the highest, but since starting this challenge on Monday, my numbers have gone down daily. Monday, 249. Tuesday, 234. Wednesday, 201. Thursday, 200. Friday, 200. Guys, oh my gosh. And then she says, then I tested this morning on my first day of incorporating the foods, and now it's at 156. Like, hallelujah. Look at that. Like, we just want to say this is a supernatural, God-given strategy, and it's unlike anything else that you'll find. Like, a lot of the medical industry, a lot of the programs that doctors are using and nutritionists are using are strictly they're restricted to the natural understanding. But God has given us layer upon layer of brilliant strategies. All right, so yeah, I was so encouraged, and that was something I wasn't even expecting. And look at how God can move just by bringing us, just through having a community that we can pray together, encourage one another, learn the wisdom of God together. Her numbers were transformed day by day. This is incredible. So I want to share with you. Okay, I gotta get back to where I was. Just praising God for those results. Dawn's testimony. Thank you, Lord. All right, so Dawn's testimony is so awesome, and we just want to encourage you that what God will do for one, He's no respecter of person. So what He will do for one, the reason we share testimony is to encourage you to press in, to appropriate, to say, you know what? If you did it for her, it's not like, oh, I'm going to get jealous about what happened for her and it's not happening for me. It's like, God, hooray, let me celebrate her win and know that you're the same God yesterday, today, and forever. The same God that you were for David, the same God that you were for Dawn. You want to be that for me. And so that's the spirit of sharing testimony. It's not comparison or jealousy. It's actually encouragement to press in for that as well. Yay! Look, there's Dawn's testimony. Welcome. Thanks for chiming in, Dawn. Let's see what you What you got today? Yes, God is so good. Today, my blood sugar was 117, the lowest it's been, but not as low as okay, praise God, step by step. Yes, I love that attitude. It's like we know we're on the right path. We know we're walking in God's wisdom. And we've got to have that mindset of, you know what? It's a process. And I want to discover the joy of walking out this process with Jesus. So this was really awesome. This is basically, it's based on Hebrews 12:2, right? Like, we are any kind of radical lifestyle change, anything that we are doing, it's not going to be sustainable. Any kind of change is not sustainable unless it becomes enjoyable. So we want to encourage you not only to feast on Eden's abundance, but also to learn to feast on kingdom emotions and just discovering the joys of this lifestyle. Like, there are 3 keys I want to share with you. If you've got notes, like, this is the joy, this is the power of walking in the joy as a diabetes slayer. And it's all based on Hebrews 12:2. I mean, it's based on a lot of different components, but this has changed my life. Because what does it say? This is, whoever wrote Hebrews, I know there's some disagreements in the expert circles, but the author of Hebrews says, we look away from the natural realm. This is where he says, we run the race with passion and determination for the path that has already been marked out before us. Like, Jesus walked this path before us. He was tempted at all things and was without sin. Like, we have a high priest who can relate to these struggles. And here's the thing. His example was this. Okay, well, first of all, let's start with the beginning of the verse. We look away from the natural realm and we fasten our gaze onto Jesus, who birthed faith within us and who leads us forward into faith's perfection. His example is this. Because his heart was focused on the joy of knowing that you would be his, for the joy set before him, right? He endured the agony of the cross and conquered its humiliation. And now he sits exalted at the right hand of the throne of God. I love this verse because God keeps highlighting to me that anything difficult in life, anything that we have to endure, the joy of the Lord is our strength, right? That was Jesus's strength, like on the cross, the joy of knowing you, of you knowing him. He died for us. Like, that's what allowed him to endure the agony and the shame, the humiliation, was the joy set before him. So I want to talk about these 3 pieces of the joy of walking out a diabetes healing journey, or walking as a diabetes slayer. First of all, it's the joy of abundance. It's the joy of knowing that God truly does not withhold any good thing from any of us. It's the joy of knowing that in the Garden of Eden, the name Eden means bliss. He designed all of these wonderful healing foods for us to experience abundant satisfaction, abundant pleasure, abundant just discovery. Like, guys, there are still foods on this planet that I haven't even tried. They're like not just like crazy creations in a package. They're like God-given foods. There's so much abundance in the plant-based world. The Garden of Eden is the garden of bliss. And so he wants us to take delight and joy. And not only that, like, think about Adam and Eve. Not only did they get to eat like whatever off of any tree at any time, like however God originally designed it, but it's like they didn't have to work for it. That's crazy thought. Well, we're not getting into that right now. But God designed everything that they would need. So Adam was created in a place of rest, right? It was like boo, I'm like a good dad on Christmas. I'm going to get everything ready for you. And like, let me just like create the light, create the heavens, create the animals, create the whole earth. Like, I'm going to set up everything. So Adam and Eve entered this world into a place of rest. Does that sound familiar? Like Hebrews talks about how Jesus has recreated this place of rest for us to abide and experience the goodness of God. So this is how God designed us for our hearts to be at rest in him. Of course, we know we have the pleasure, the privilege, the God-given mandate to work, right? Work is a blessing, not a curse originally. Work is a blessing, and he designed us to do it with him. Adam and Eve walked with God in the cool of the day. Like all of these pictures are right there in Genesis. I don't know if you've ever, if any of it like is just like, this is so good. Just like shout a hallelujah real quick, because I love that. Like as I meditate on the way God designed us, our bodies, our lifestyle, all of it, he actually has abundance for us. And the second joy is walking in the joy of health. It's like, if we're really honest with ourselves, as much pleasure as we take from, a good meal with good company, right? Like good friends, good fellowship, good food, like that's life, right? And it's like, if you think about it, no earthly pleasure compares with the manifest glory of God. Like one moment, right? Like he says, the psalmist says, better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. It's like I could go feast at the king's table in Babylon for 1,000 years and not experience as much pleasure as I get from one moment in the Lord's presence. He truly designed us so that we could only be satisfied by him, right? Like Jesus says, like, you'll be hungry. Like when you drink from this well, you'll never thirst again. He set it up that way that we can truly only be satisfied by him. So the joy of walking in abundant health, like eat foods that love you back, right? It's like, don't indulge in these foods that we know are going to lead us into regret and sluggishness and steal years from our life. And that's easier said than done. I totally get that. But if you think about it, if you stop and you're honest with yourself, tell me yes if you agree with this statement, that no food tastes as good as abundant health feels. And the thing about giving into these food addictions is that it messes with the dopamine receptors in our brain to where we basically, when we get in an addictive cycle, we basically deaden our ability, literally our brain, our physiology's ability, those dopamine receptors. Like we are supposed to get a high, like literally a high when we look at the sunset. Like God made the sky, like he paints his glory in the sky. He made that red light healing for our bodies. He made just the beauty of it, right? Like we're supposed to just like worship him and experience pleasure and delight when we see a sunset. And yet when we have addictions in our lives, it gets us in this physiological kind of vicious cycle where the dopamine receptors are kind of deadened. And you know this because it's like, just like with alcohol or drugs or anything else, like you need more and more of it to feel satisfied. And so when you get in that cycle, unfortunately, when there's one thing that you're kind of is your vice, it actually deadens your ability to experience pleasure in the rest of life, the fullness of life that God designed. Okay, finally, the joy in walking as more than a conqueror in Christ, right? So this is like one of my favorite things. And I want to guide you guys in an activation. Hey, Sharon, so glad you're here, sister. So the joy of walking as more than a conqueror in Christ is just like, this is, again, when we come back to what we talked about at the beginning, like if you've ever experienced like, man, I know God's word, right? Like I know that there is hope for me. I know that there's victory available for me, but I don't know how to walk in it. And I hate that. And that can be defeating and frustrating. So I want to allow you an opportunity right here to just experience what it would feel like, what it would, the kind of empowerment that you would have in your heart to know that you can walk as more than a conqueror in Christ. What does that look like? What does that feel like? So I want to invite you right here to just close your eyes. Use your imagination, become childlike. Use your imagination. And I want you to think about the upcoming holiday feast. Think about the things that you currently associate with pleasure. Like, maybe it's like your family has this whole smorgasbord, like a dessert buffet. And for you, it's like your kryptonite and you're just like, oh, like I love my family. But when I think about going, like, I just know that I've never been able to overcome. This is like my downfall, right? Like whatever that is for you, imagine yourself right now in a place of temptation. And you get a sense, you smell the foods, you're just really tempted right here. And I want you to experience that, but this absolutely wonderful thing happens right here in your picture. And Jesus walks into the room and you see him and you sense him right there with you. And you sense his pleasure and his delight towards you. And it's like, man, Jesus, you know my thoughts. Like there's not even a temptation to feel condemnation because Jesus's love is just reaching out and wrapping itself around your heart right now, that you just feel so accepted in your greatest moment of weakness, right? So allow yourself to experience Jesus's love, even in that moment of temptation and weakness. See his smile. There's no condemnation in his eyes. He loves you perfectly, even at your weakest moment. And right here, just listen to him say these words. My darling daughter, my beloved bride, we all experience times of testing. It's normal for every human being. But God will be faithful to you. I'm always screening you and filtering you from the severity, the nature, and the timing of every test and trial so that you can bear it. And each test is an opportunity to trust me more. Because along with every trial, I've already provided for you a way of escape that will bring you out of it victoriously. So hear him speaking those words over your heart. Just receive the grace right here. Okay, here's where I want you to experience the power of activating and feasting on kingdom emotions. Because for some of us, we feel a little better hearing the word of God, right? But for me, I tried that for years. and I didn't quite get my emotions aligned just with the Word of God. So we're going to take it a step deeper. I want you to see Jesus standing there with you. And right here, imagine that Jesus himself, with all of his strength, all of his self-control, all of his confidence, all of his faith in God's ability to keep you and provide that way of escape. Imagine him with perfect righteousness stepping inside of you. Like, watch it happen. There's a fusion. And you and Jesus become one. And allow yourself to experience his emotions. When Jesus looks at that food, is he tempted? Maybe, but he has access to heaven's resources. And therefore, he is confident in his victory. Allow yourself to experience confidence right now. Feel that confidence of Jesus just permeating from your heart out to the tips of your fingers, the bottom of your feet. Watch it explode up through your mind. Allow your body to be filled and flooded with the emotion of confidence right here. I want to ask you, do you think Jesus feels defeated when he looks at that? Or do you think he feels like a conqueror, a victorious conqueror? He knows that by the power of the Holy Spirit, he can obey and walk in the righteousness of God, right? So I want you to activate and just imagine that sense of victory, that sense of like, I am invincible. He's God. He lives inside of you. Let his invincibility permeate you in this moment. See yourself being permeated with invincibility. You will not be conquered. You will not be defeated. Christ within you is your hope of glory. I want you to activate the joy of Jesus right here. He stepped inside of you and he has brought the fullness of heaven's joy. The joy of the Lord is your strength in this moment of temptation. So just see yourself, your whole body being flooded with joy. Feel the joy of Jesus in every cell of your body. You can feel that joy. Thank you, Jesus. And I want you to take a moment here and as you're empowered with those kingdom emotions, as you're feasting on those kingdom emotions, I want you to take a second, come back and see the feast. Notice how you feel. Bring these emotions into your temptation. Imagine the social pressures. And imagine yourself empowered by Jesus to joyfully say, no, thank you. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm empowered to say yes to God, yes to God's righteousness, and no to the king's table. And if you can see yourself doing that with joy, with confidence, with his power flooding your emotions, I just want you to give God praise. Give God thanks, because his word is true and we can activate it in our emotions, and we can walk in the power of 1 Corinthians 10:13, where he says that God is faithful and he has provided your way of escape so that you can stand up under every temptation. All right, so as you come back here, open your eyes, come back to the room, come back to the broadcast, and let us know, how was that experience for you? How did that go? So good. Hallelujah. This has changed everything for me. This has changed everything. And I just want to say, like, again, we are not saying that this is an easy road, right? We know the road is narrow. We know that everything that God does is countercultural. And there's going to be resistance and tribulation and temptation. But we know also that, like we experienced just now, that God can empower us with his grace to be successful and faithful in this lifestyle. So just like with athletes, amen, hallelujah, Sharon, thanks for sharing. Just like athletes, right? Like, you've got to train, you've got to practice, you've got to, an athlete, like a high level athlete, spends years of preparation for a minute of performance. And this is important because God has given us the key of biblical meditation. It's like he's given us the grace. He's given us the power. He's given us access. And biblical meditation, it's like a key that the church has kind of like lost the key, right? Like, it's like, oh man, is it in a drawer somewhere? Like, this is a key you need to wear around your neck. You need to wear this key. We need to be able to have quick access to it, to learn to use it and unlock the freedom of abundant life, abundant health, abundant victory that God has for us. And with that being said, yeah, I'm so glad. Yes, this applies to every area of temptation, right? And I just want to share, because Patrice is one of our challengers, and she had such a powerful, yes, peace upon peace. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. This is great. I love it. So Patrice is someone that walked through our 21-day, accelerated healing program. And we did this together. And she just got on the call one week, just so joyful, like so grateful. And she had tapped in to the joy of this lifestyle. And that's when you know that you can overcome any temptation. You can overcome all the social challenges, any of this, because you know that God has led you here. You know that what God is asking you to do. And you're getting some of the tools and the knowledge and the strategies. But it's like, once you tap into the joy, you're unstoppable. You're invincible. You can do anything. And it was so cool because Patrice was sharing about like how her weight loss had become effortless. Like, she was no longer focused on the number on a scale, the any of the difficult pieces of it, or even the results of it. She was just like, these social pressures are getting easier every day as I'm walking out in the joy of Jesus. And that's the power of this. That's what we want to expose you to, let you know that it's possible, and even invite you to continue the journey, right? Like, so in this 3-day challenge, we have tried to give you some of our best nuggets, right? Like we claimed when we came into this was a free challenge. 100% want to honor our word, want to be true to that, want to give you value for free. And yet, if you're someone who is like, oh my goodness, what have I stumbled upon? Like, what do these people know that God is just like beginning to open up the heavens over my life through this 3-day challenge? And you know that you want to walk into this lifestyle, right? We know that you will need support. If you are empowered to go and do this on your own, hallelujah, go do it. Like, we have given you the tools. But if you want to live this out as a lifestyle, I just always think about Daniel. Like, Daniel was among 4, right? He had a community of people who were going to support him in his resolve and his commitment not to defile himself. And we would love the opportunity to share with you some details about an invitation to come into our program, to come into our community, become part of the family, and get the support you need. And so with that, Delia,
Hey, that was amazing. First of
praise
all, like, yeah, like, just everyone has wonderful things to say, and that's just a taste of what we get into weekly, and
yes,
that we've been doing with our previous Daniel challengers, and it's a unique factor in wellness and the most overlooked, yet it's the most
yes,
important piece, right? So when my husband and I were on our journey, it was all about just like the science, the diet, and all these conflicting things, and none of it had the spiritual component. It didn't have that anchor in scripture and anchor in God. And so that I see now why God has kind of led us here, led Devin and I together. And so yeah, we are just honored that you're here with us, and we, number one, sharing the information. So we hope we
yes.
gave you everything you needed to just thrive and apply this to your life and get change now. And we know that people are at different places, right? And so some people are like, I'm still catching up, I need to see what's going on. And we have built this program with such grace that we're, as you are is where you need to be. But we know some people are going to be at a certain point where they need that extra nudge, that extra support, to really accelerate and keep them on that path. And so, we have put together a little program that we've already had 12 disciples come in the past round, and now we're looking for 12 more, because again, even Jesus didn't do it alone. He had his disciples where we were, they got together and they shared God's truth, God's message. And so we want to invite you in to be a part of this family where, one, we can support you on that journey of the ups and downs, talk about the glucose numbers, and the emotional inner healing component. And like, we dig deep into this and other layers on top of that. So let me just share my screen. And once I'm there, I'm not going to be able to see anything else besides my
Yes.
presentation. But if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. I actually have a phone here. So, and Devin, if something comes up, just let me know and we can address any questions coming on. So we have. And before I get into it, actually, there's some takeaways I wanted to mention. So the FATS, like when Devin mentioned this FATS acronym that was brought to her recently, I was like, whoa, like how perfect and how concise. Like, so FATS, what we learned in a scientific setting, it hinders those insulin receptors and blocks them, adds confusion to your body, which causes that glucose buildup. So on a physical level, that's what's happening, the fats when it's in excess. So you want below 15% is the mark. And when you're eating God's way, it's naturally packaged where you can't overconsume in fats. And then with the emotional component, those fats hinder your emotional and love receptors, right? And your connection to God. Like, whoa, like I just had a mind-blowing moment, I'm continually learning and just being in awe of how God is really packaging this into a clearer way so we can just know what's going on and fix it and recognize it right when it happens. And so the other like amazing piece, Dawn, thank you so much for reaching out and sharing your story, because that is such an important measurable thing that you shared that really just helps amplify that faith in prayer. Like we all, if you're here, if you believe in Jesus and God, like you believe in the power of prayer, but seeing those numbers, it just amplifies that faith and that belief. And so Dawn was at 249 and just with prayer and connecting deeper with God, no food change, no dietary, no exercise change, nothing. And she dropped 50 points off her blood glucose just with that. And then as she incorporated the food, well, then it was a total of 132 point drop. So, but prayer, it's layers, right? So it starts with God. It starts with that mental, emotional state and connection, but the science and the nutrition and other components will just magnify that. And so let me get into this whole screen share deal. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I want to remind you guys, we will be live same time the rest of this week. So tomorrow and Friday, set your calendars. We are not leaving you hanging. I saw Deanna Smith, shall I say Dr. Deanna Smith on the stream. She's going to be on tomorrow, and she's actually a doctor and pharmacist who works with helping people reduce their healthcare costs, appealing to get money back in your pocket that the pharmaceutical and insurance industry tries to take from you. They try to steal from you. Like, you guys know this, like the system is not anchored in God and love. It's anchored in greed and profits. And so we are trying to give the power back to our people and really so that they can place it back into our kingdom, right? And so so she's on tomorrow. So definitely 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. And Friday will be prayer. So you're going to get a taste of the intercessory prayer, which I'm going to discuss a little bit on that while I explain our Diabetes Slayer program. Like, come on now, like who doesn't want to be in the Diabetes Slayer program? Like just that name alone, like when my husband, once we started slaying his biomarkers that were trying to be out of range, like it just, I felt so powerful. I still do. Like, I feel like God has just given us this untouchable factor that like no matter what anyone says, what any lab work, we know it is all feasible with God. And so I just want to start off explaining this program with that clear message that God gave me when I was praying last month, asking for his message. And it was an earthquake, right? So Acts 16, 25, 26, about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose.
Amen.
Oh, man. Like, I don't know, like I couldn't have gotten a clearer message. Like, this is so appropriate for the wrongfully imprisoned of God's people. Like, this is it. He is shaking things up. He is breaking everyone loose all at once. He's not just activating me and Devin. He's activating influencers like Tabitha Brown, and you see big celebrities, big athletes, they are being activated and getting clear guidance from God. Some people getting accidental guidance from God because they don't know it's God speaking to them. But when I hear their stories, I'm like, that was a clear message from God speaking to them. And so, and he's not only activating those people and us, he's activating you. Okay. Like we've seen it that Priscilla, Grace, Shirley, Sharon, like everybody, you have a unique story and you are going to be able to testify to others. And we are being called on for such a time as this. And so, in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, right? Like this is God. He is saying now. And so, I'm just,
Can I
yeah,
share one quick thing?
yeah, go ahead.
So I want to point out something that the Lord just highlighted to me as you read that verse. Can you go back real quick?
Oh, yeah. I love that verse. That's my new jam right here.
Amen. So powerful. Okay, look at this. In the very last part of the verse, it says, at once all the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. Like, think about that. We've talked about how we've been wrongfully imprisoned. And Paul and Silas were wrongfully imprisoned. But literally, this earthquake loosened the chains of everyone. And it's like, a lot of those prisoners probably were guilty. And I want to speak to you. I just feel like the Lord wants to say over your heart, like if you felt any kind of shame, any condemnation, any kind of responsibility or guilt, like I am guilty. I know that, my lifestyle caused this diagnosis. In God's kingdom, it really doesn't matter. Everyone's chains will be broken loose. Like everyone's chains, regardless of whether, first of all, we know condemnation is not from the Father. And so I just speak to that condemnation and say, get off my sister or my brother. Like, no to the voice of condemnation. But do you hear, like, he just highlighted that to me. Every single person in that prison's chains were broken loose. That means the guilty and those who were wrongfully imprisoned. So whichever one you categorize yourself as, your freedom is available for you. So I just wanted to speak that because I just felt like he just showed me that right there.
Ooh,
Thank you, Lord.
I love it. Like I can like spend hours on this verse right here and just digest it and be like, oh my gosh, like what he's doing is just so glorious. And then, while we're back here, I do want to mention, so if you want to see all the details of the program, it will be on the website at danielchallengefordiabetes.com/diabetes slayer. So we're trying to make it easy for y'all to remember. So I'm just going to go through some of the details of what the program is to see if it is right for you, if the timing is now for you, or if it's, you still need more time, that's totally fine too. So wherever you're at, we want to support you on all levels.
Yes.
And so, first thing, this is kind of our page that it's going to look like. And it's just basically all the levels of slaying diabetes. So obviously one of the main measurable components is your fasting glucose and your improved A1C. So we're going to help, extend this blueprint of helping you stabilize and using that spiritual guidance and supernatural component to help you use both to kind of amplify those results. And then we're going to help you stay on track. Because again, it is like a windy road. Like some people, it's a straight path and it's instant, but others, they have a little curves, twists and turns. And we're here just to make sure, there's other people that have been through this. I've been through this with my husband. I've had moments where I've had all the information, all the truth, and still going into a doctor's office and they're questioning things and they're sounding so convincing that I'm like, oh, like there's moments of uncertainty that happens where you really have to lean into God and know the truth in your heart. And even then, sometimes it's confusing. And so we want to be there to help you and to support you and lift you and help keep you in connection with God as your primary health physician here, right? Yes. And so, it's just going to be one, we got Devin, an amazing chef dietitian. So this is something that we're going to support you in the kitchen with recipes. And we're going to have a private community where we can have more one-on-one interaction and you can have those subtle questions asked kind of like on demand. And it's, again, the unique factor is we are all believers. We understand that God, there is no sickness in heaven and there's no sickness meant to be in you. So we are going to just use that to get your breakthrough that you've been praying for. And then as Devin mentioned, the mindset component, like we're all layers. So I want to just show Shirley. She's 76 years old. And this is just a short video of her. Like, she was in the last program, and this is a program. Here's some highlights that she's going to discuss. At 76-year-old, she lowered her glucose over 100 points, overcame severe depression, like over a decade long of depression. And she went from being completely hopeless, thinking that she was not worth it, thinking, she was believing lies, right? And then this program and her support system was able to help her break free of that, to the point that she can't even remember what it was like. And that's the power of it. And so let's go ahead and just play.
Plagued for a long time with a decade of severe depression and very high blood sugar numbers, not responding to medicine that was making her sick. So she quit taking the medicine a year or so ago. And when she arrived here, her numbers were running 300 most of the time. And then she can tell you about her diagnosis and how that felt and what she's doing now.
My number's always high, even on medication. And they kept increasing the metformin and the glimepiride, and insulin was next. And I said, no, So I just tried my best, the best way I knew how. Yesterday morning, it was 140.
Yes.
And it's all from the good Lord keeping me walking the straight and narrow and sending cricket into my life again. I'm going to start crying.
Thank God. You mentioned in one of our calls recently that you had a major mindset shift during this time. We would just love to hear more about it from your lips, like how things have changed from the inside out for you.
Oh, emotionally. Well, to be truthful with you, I can't remember it. It's gone. If I was to try and put into words about the state of depression and about how I could never do anything right, and it didn't matter what I did or how I would go about it, it always should have been some other way, some other time. I wasn't good enough. To describe those feelings, I can't, because they're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Wow. Tell us about the state of your physical health when you got out there, and some of the wins that you've had over this past, you said it's been about 6 weeks?
Yes.
7 weeks today.
7 weeks today.
Awesome. 7 weeks. All right.
Okay. When I first got here, they had 2 steps size of cement blocks up into their home. I had to hang on to get 1 step at a time to get up into their home. Now I just go up and down them, and I climb mountains, and we go on 2 to 3 mile walks, and it's everything physically, thanks to mentally.
Amen.
I can accomplish all this. It's been a wonderful experience. I've never experienced anything like this before, where all the women, even though we're all over the place, are still like a unit of one.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the goals that you've set and been able to accomplish in this time?
I think the first goal that we set was just to be very committed to the 21 days. So we were processing through that. And then individual goals were to be less concerned about the actual numbers that we're reading than just following the program and allowing that flow to go up and down, because understanding that it took her decades for her body to get in this condition, it's going to take a little while for it to recover completely. So those were goals. And then we set physical goals, like just walking around the yard when we first started. And then we set a date a week or so out that we were going to start walking on the street a little bit. And then we made a mile, and then we made 2 miles, and then we stopped at 2 miles, and we've done getting that time faster. So 2 miles in an hour and 45 minutes. We did 2.6 miles in an hour.
Wow.
And her goal was, before she left, we have a desert trail that's pretty rough. And it's 8/10 of a mile up through the wash and 8/10 of a mile back down the ridge.
Wow.
And she wanted to accomplish that before she left, which is on Friday this week. And we did it last week on Tuesday. The
Woohoo!
whole trip.
Go Shirley. Go Shirley. That's so awesome.
And we certainly are giving God the credit, because to recover that much physical ability in 7 weeks, and that's the reason that we chose this program when we were looking for things to do, because we were so blessed to have Devin and Delia as our coaches to work our way through it. So we think it's been well worth the while and the investment in our lifetime experience. But the reason we chose this program was because it was so spiritually Christ-centered as well as phys-centered. And I knew as a coach that that has to be the center as well as flow.
So far, what you've experienced of the program, what stood out the most for you?
The prayer devotion that was with me, and everybody would pray. That was fantastic for me.
Such an anchor. Amen.
God's going to use her in a mighty way to be a witness in the next group and for the next session. And there's somebody else who doesn't have hope who's going to gain hope from her story.
Amen.
There you have it, y'all. Amazing. Shirley, like, she went from 300s, just uncontrollable, even with medications. It was plus 300s, down to 140 in 7 weeks. And that's, I mean, she couldn't walk up 2 little porch steps. Like, think of the front porch when you have just 2 steps, very minimal. She went from not even being able to walk up that to then hiking and doing these trails. And so it's really like people lose sight when they're in the midst of that and they don't have those clear answers, that they think this is it. There's no going back. But I mean, Shirley at 76 years old, she is aging in reverse now. And I'm just so blessed by this. And I'm so glad that she's really, been able to shine, just shine like this. And as she mentioned, like, prayer was one of the key things. And so I just want to emphasize, like, if you guys are considering joining this, like, we want to clarify, like, we understand this may not be for everyone, right? People are at different times in their place, but we want to reiterate, like, if this is your time, here's some things that you want to know. Like, this is for you if you're willing to take full responsibility for your health. So this is going to be not just you kick back and do nothing, and then all of a sudden your A1C is lowered. You're going to have to, lean into God with the prayers, and we're going to support you. We're going to have these sessions where you can weekly prayer sessions, and you're going to have to make those disciplined choices within your kitchen, within your life, that, your interactions. And this is for you if you want a lower A1C. So anyone with an out of range A1C, I'm sure you want that in range during your next visit. Like, just imagine, like, after years of just having it gradually increase or just stay the same, like, imagine it just dropping at your next doctor's visit. Like, what would that feel like? And this is for you if you believe in the power of prayer. Like, this is the secret sauce to what we're doing. Like I said, like, I haven't come across a diabetes program that really hones in on this factor. And to me, that's the most important piece. And then it's for you if you've tried other changes. So Cricket, she mentioned she tried keto, and they were being very diligent with it. Her husband's numbers, just in the beginning, there was some improvement, but then it just started creeping up, and then it became uncontrollable. So if you've tried stuff and you've been committed to other things and it hasn't worked, this is the key here, because you're going to have God guiding you, and He will not lead you astray. So leaning into the powering grace of God. And also, you want to inspire others. Like, this, I don't see this as just a one-off thing. Like, Devin and I are all in on this. Like, God, we are being obedient. And we know some of you're going to be given a message. Like Grace, who's in our program, she got a clear message in a dream of the lion jumping into her bed. And, it's because like she has this story to tell. She has this divine purpose that God is preparing her for to unlock. And so that we can be this army that breaks the chains, right? And so yeah, if you're ready to do that, let's go. We're ready to link arms and walk side by side with you. And then another important factor to know if this is for you is if you are experiencing any complications from diabetes. Like that's a sign physically that change needs to happen now, and it needs to happen fast, right? So we've seen that whatever it is, neuropathy, retinopathy, things of that nature, like as soon as you start taking care of your body, it can start working on clearing those issues out. And for everybody, it takes a different timeline. For my husband, his neuropathy like disappeared within, you know, just that first week. But for everybody, it's a little different. But we do want to put it out there. Like if you're having complications, the sense of urgency is a little bit more clearer.
Yes.
So did I leave anything out, Devin, on that piece?
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think you did. But one thing I just want to say there is that, you know, this, again, we want to support you in a lifestyle change of aligning your lifestyle, right? We're not here with fads, gimmicks, any products for $39.99, like just like magic pills. Like we are so sick and tired. That stuff makes me mad. It makes me furious because I hate when people, you know, promise the magic pill. It's like you get your hopes up and then it can't deliver. And I know that, you know, one of the things that with this program, like each person has their own journey. Like Delia said, like there are people that have just been on the fast track, and there are people that, you know, for different reasons, God knows, like, you know, your expectation might be that you're jumping on the highway and like point A to point B, get me there, Jesus. And he's like, actually, we're going to take the scenic route. And like, I want to, because for God, he's in the process. God is more concerned about in the process, you being conformed into his likeness than he is about you getting from point A to point B on your timing. Does that make sense? So we have actually from last challenge to this challenge, dramatically restructured our program because of what we've been learning. That we know that not everyone is going to have magical results, you know, miraculous results. So there's a distinction that you need to know about this as well in the supernatural component, that there is a distinction biblically between a miracle and gifts of healing. And this is really cool, really important to understand because it relates to our expectations. And, you know, a miracle, instantaneous, right? And we have seen miracles. Like, don't get me wrong. We believe in miracles. We love miracles. We pray for miracles. We see miracles. And we've actually had a lot of our challengers receive kind of some like micro miracles, if that makes sense. Like there are moments of breakthrough. There are miracles happening, and yet they're still walking out the process. So a gift of healing is not, you don't have an instantaneous manifestation. God says yes and amen to your healing, but you get to walk out the process with Jesus. And that's where a lot of people in the, you know, kind of like the word of faith movement, they didn't see an instantaneous manifestation. They didn't recognize this distinction between gifts of healing and miracles. And so we want to support you. We go through this 21-day intensive support. But like Priscilla said, thank you for your testimony, Priscilla. You're amazing, girl. It's totally worth every penny because I know I wouldn't have made it the past 3 days if I hadn't been blessed to continue on with this program. And Devin and Delia have continued supporting me every step of the way, and they will continue to support you. The time and resources they put into this program is amazing. God has blessed me with them doing this program, and he will bless you too. I love that. Priscilla, thank you for sharing your testimony. And you have really been someone who has taken advantage of our support. And this is something that I really want to highlight because we want to come alongside you. We want to walk this journey. And yet this is our last challenge of the year. And the Lord is leading us to restructure some things again. And so this is actually our last way of our last group doing it kind of in the 12 disciples, like under our wing, hand in hand kind of model. And so we want to just encourage you that if you believe this is for you, then there's no other time. Like there's literally no other opportunity. So with that, Delia, do you want me to share, or you want to?
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, we're just go for
share.
it. We're going with the flow.
So we want you to, we want to just highlight some of the benefits of, like, imagine what it would feel like and look like to save hundreds on those medications every month. We asked our community as they came into this challenge, like, what are some of your biggest challenges? What are some of the most difficult things? And we've talked about those carb cravings, and we've talked about the expensive medications and the painful injections. Like, we understand that it is not fun. And so we want you to think about, as you get support to really transform your lifestyle, the freedom, financial freedom, physical freedom, your quality of life improving, and being able to spend more quality time with loved ones and really be present. I know my precious mama has missed out on a lot of things due to her physical health, and she wants to be involved, and she wants to go to these things, but she's very uncomfortable in her body sometimes, and at different parts of her journey, she's had to miss out on a lot of fun and a lot of life. And so we want, just like Shirley's story, she came to Cricket, and she got to spend 7 weeks with her niece, but as they did this program together, her numbers, her results, her having that tie to community, having the connection to prayer, we really do believe that was what broke off that spirit of depression. And we're just overjoyed for what God has done. And we want to encourage you to imagine what life could be like. And also, one of the things that we've seen in our challengers is that this becoming a diabetes slayer, like Shirley mentioned, she said, my mindset has changed so much. Now I know that not only can I conquer diabetes, like not only can I conquer the mountain trail, it's like, what else? When she was headed back home, we're so excited to keep checking in with her. She was ready and committed to being a God's instrument in helping others with this knowledge, with the life and health that God has gifted her through the support she's received and through following the program. She's ready to go be a world changer. And this is the fulfillment that we all desire, right? Like, we don't want to sit around and waste away in a nursing home. Like, it breaks my heart to have seen some of my grandparents, spend their final days, spend their last years just without purpose, without life. And it's sad, and we don't want that for anyone here. And so,
And one thing I want to highlight about saving money, like, we're really, like, our lens is, how can we help this community?
Yes.
Personally, my husband and I went through it. We went from just all of a sudden needing to spend $200 a month on prescription medications. And so we're intentionally bringing in guests as God connects us, because God's connected us to some amazing people. We have neuroscientist, Dr. Darlene Mayo. We have Dr. Deanna Smith, she's coming on tomorrow. And what I love about this is that since Devin is a registered dietitian, anyone with a diabetes diagnosis, it's covered under insurance to get nutritional counseling from, it has to be a registered dietitian. And so we believe there may be an opportunity for this program to get some type of reimbursement. And so we're going to ask some of those questions for tomorrow and also give you that support within the program, not only how to potentially get reimbursed some or all of this program, so that, think about it, instead of having to pay into the pharmaceutical industry, we get to now redirect those funds and have it paid into the kingdom.
Amen.
Breaking the chains now, right? Everybody's.
Amen.
So I just love what God is doing here. It's just so intentional, and we're just slowly, layer by layer, unpacking it.
Discovering.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we thank you for your grace in knowing that we are kind of in the process. But I wanted to let you guys know, like, tomorrow's is going to be really important, because that could be a key piece to making sure that everyone that needs to invest in this program can. So yay, exciting. So let's get into the details of what the program is. So, Cricket mentioned, so we were originally only doing just a 21-day accelerated healing program for those first groups. But we realized, like, we need to have that continued support. And so we've expanded it to now it's a 6-month support system. So not only are you getting the original thing that everybody from the previous 2 months got, you're getting an additional, 4 more months on top of that. And we are being very intentional. God is leading us into some amazing things that I'm going to get into. So you got a taste today of Devon's emotional healing. Like, we do those activations. We do that inner healing where we get that spiritual connection. We invite Jesus here. We receive God's love, God's pure healing light to help us on this journey. But also we continue with the diabetes education because we know it's important. Again, we are not doctors, but we are here to help you make sense of the experience by comparing your experience with our previous challengers and also my personal experience with my husband, because again, it's a unique road for people, but there's some common threads that you can gain and have confidence in knowing that you are acting in the way that God has set out for you. And so those, like that right there, that's a $1,500 value. And obviously we are not going to charge you that, but we just want to let you know that we have put a lot of time, a lot of intention, a lot of our own money into this. And so it's not just this free thing. It is like, there's deep value here. And again, the 5 months nutritional counseling on top of that with a registered dietitian. So again, this could potentially be covered under your insurance. And so we are going to look through the avenue of providing you those resources to request reimbursement. But again, this is something that we're offering anchored in a biblical nutritional plan. And so this isn't your average dietitian. And so, this isn't going to be your average experience. You've already witnessed that, right? And you're witnessing the results. Many of you have already started applying. And so this is just the added counseling that we're going to make sure you have support along the way, this journey, no matter what it looks like for you. Like, we are here, we are leaning in, and we aren't going anywhere, right? We are all in. I know the diabetes community, they've been targeted with these quick gimmicks and like magic pills that, don't work, and then they're just abandoned, right? And so we are not that. We are here linked side by side to the point we have an intercessory team praying for you right here. You see some familiar faces, but there's some faces you haven't seen. And we have an amazing, beautiful, happy birthday, Miss Vicky. It's her birthday today. Like, this is her birthday. And she is just giving you a priceless gift. So on her birthday, she is gifting you guys with her amazing prayer. She is leading our team of about 20 and growing prayer warriors, where we have been praying every day of this challenge, and we do weekly calls with her. So you guys are invited into those calls, into our group, to grow this army of chain breakers. And so this is just, I love that God has led us to this. God connected Devon to Vicky. And again, it's just very intentional, and it's just us saying yes to God in whatever he places in our path. And do you want to add anything to this, Devon? Because this is your jam right here.
I love it. Well, I'm so this is something that, again, like, all God put it. God has been leading every piece. Like, he has hand built this program. Like, he is the one who has fashioned all of these pieces together. He's brought every resource to us, starting with the knowledge and like our own stories years ago. Yay, hallelujah. I know we're getting better. We're getting more connected to the Lord, Mary, right? I'm so glad to hear that you have had more hope and encouragement during this time. Um, Great to see you, Mary. Thanks for joining us. I'm feeling the same thing of like, wow, like the people that invested in the beginning, like this program is only getting better. And yet again, we're just following the Lord's leading with what this is supposed to look like. And so he's the one who led us to create the intercessory team. And we're so grateful for everyone who has committed to come alongside of us and fight in this spirit on behalf of each and every challenger. So this morning, Priscilla had a prayer request on our prayer call. And again, if you saw Grace, what she saw when we were praying a couple of days ago, if you saw that, she invited you, like, please share your prayer requests. We're here committed to praying for our community. And Priscilla had a prayer request this morning, and Vicky jumped in, got a happy birthday song sung over her, and just went right to ministering, like, let me just pray over this prayer request. And she's just such a generous, wonderful gift to our community. She's the leader of our intercessory prayer team, so kind of behind the scenes, but she posted this on behalf of her birthday, so we wanted to introduce you to Vicky. And speaking of, we will be interviewing Dr. Deanna Smith tomorrow, and then Friday, our bonus day for Friday is all about you guys experiencing intercessory prayer with us and what that feels like and looks like kind of behind the scenes, and something that we've now made intentionally part of our challenge because we realized as we were serving, we just look up one day and we're like, oh, everyone is saying their favorite part is the prayer. Oh, well, of course, like, let's make this, more intentional. Like, this is something that we've recognized is just a gift from the Lord. Like, he has given the gift of intercession. He has given the blessing of Vicky and all of our prayer warriors. And this is something that you can come into this program and have your faith built in a way that we could never impart in just 3 days, like that consistent, like as battles come up, right? Like, you need community to lean on. We need to come to the Lord together and have a place where we can bring those challenges and hear a word from heaven, specifically speaking to your situation. So this is the most invaluable part of our program that I've never seen. Like, I was thinking about it. There's some really, really great resources out there teaching the plant-based, whole food plant-based or Daniel Challenge way of eating. I even saw a magazine recently online that Dr. Dean Ornish, he's a cardiovascular heart doctor, but his program actually received a label of the most healing diet for cardiovascular disease 7 years in a row. So praise God, like, that's so awesome. And his program is like $7,000 something, and he does not offer the spiritual component. Like, even like the value that we are offering here is like straight from heaven. It's a gift from God.
Vicky's gotten awakened in the middle of the night. So she's in Nigeria. So we're international, y'all. And she woke up like 1 a.m. her time. And she's like, it's on my heart to pray this thing right now. And as she's praying, Patrice was watched the replay. I was like, oh my God, that was for me. Like, and so I love seeing the power of this, and how on that call, Patrice was just so full of God's light, and like, she was just so pure joy. And so experiencing that is such a blessing. And then, of course, like we mentioned, we're giving you the basic tools as well, like challenge guide. So we have a 21-day rescue guide that, kicks things off. So the first 10 days is a more low glycemic version of the guide. And then Devin has the extended, where it's more fun, introducing more whole grains and more things of that nature. And then an accelerated healing workbook. So we've intentionally put this together as a way to activate that keep you anchored in God, in scripture. So we have verses, we have journaling, things that are going to help you have that faster breakthrough to, make that lifestyle change and be committed to it. So this is the value. I don't want you to look at this price and get scared, because if you add the value of all these things up we've presented, it's well over $2,000. So $2,600 just in value, because you also get the lifetime access to all of the Daniel Challenge replays. So you've noticed we have this as a challenge component where we want you to take action. So we don't just leave it up there forever for people that haven't bought into the program, because we want them to know that this is something they need to act on too, so that they can get breakthrough right away, rather than just having it out there in the open and people don't value it as highly, right? And so we're intentional in that. And so you're going to get access to all of them. So you'll get the very first one that we ever did, which we were doing 3 videos a day during that challenge. And so we're going to intentionally have all these things for you to have as a resource to learn on your own time, to kind of go back and really get more key pieces, key takeaways. So that's the value. And then again, we're adding some free bonuses that are valued in $800 value. And Miss Deanna, what's up, girl? I see you in the street. So we put her here because we're going to invite you guys to her next. She has a private healthcare savings challenge where it breaks down how to get money back that you are just unknowingly giving away to your health insurance company. And so we are providing the value intentionally to help support you spiritually, physically, emotionally, and financially, because we want you thriving on all levels. And so shout out to Miss Deanna. She'll be on live tomorrow, so don't miss that. And then again, Dr. Darlene Mayo, she's a neuroscientist. She just wrote a book called The Science of God's Healing Power. Wow, amazing. I've actually invested in her mentoring program. Like this week, I spent a few $100s, it was actually $400. So I spent more than this just so she and I want to get a deeper understanding of what God has revealed to her. And I see us doing some form of collaboration down the line. And so you guys, I'm investing my own money because I know it's going to benefit you. I know it's going to benefit my husband. I know it's going to benefit the kingdom, right? And so there's things that you know in your heart you have to do. So I've invested already with Darlene Mayo, which we're already friends. I have this interview that I've done with her, but I know God's leading me to do more with that. And so that's what I'm doing. And you guys get this for free, included as a bonus when you sign up. And you also have an exclusive interview with the creators, the producers of The Biggest Loser. So the couple behind that world famous TV show, they are Christian and now are huge advocates of plant-based. And they're what got me started because I was on one of their TV shows. So you're getting all these 3 things for free, valued over $800. And I don't think I put the price anywhere of this program, but I want to let you guys know that. So it's thousands of dollars worth of support and content, but we have broken it down into a 6-month system where it's only going to be $99 per month. So that's insane. If you've ever looked up a dietitian, just look what it would cost for you to do a half-hour call with a dietitian. It would be over $100 just to do that alone. So what we are giving you is insane value. I just want you to Google that. So, we're not what you're getting for $100 a month. That's just it's almost absurd, but God is leading us and our heart is to serve. So we are making those personal sacrifices and making it so that it still works on a business level, but so we can give you the most possible. And we know that's because God has a plan for you, right? And we know you are worth it and we believe in you. And we know your diagnosis was not your fault. You were wrongfully imprisoned and the world's strategies added confusion and maybe delayed that healing that you are promised by God. But God is ready to break those chains now. And all it takes is the prayer and obedience, which is the key. And we are just kind of the support system to help you stay in alignment with that path. So So yes, I think, we have a bonus recipe guide. So we figured the timing is appropriate where we're going to do a 21-day intensive right away during these 6 months, where it's more the first month we're going to be having more sessions and higher engagement and more frequent Zoom meetings, just because it's getting you anchored. And so it is going to end that 21-day intensive right before Thanksgiving. So we're like, oh man, we need to get y'all a special recipe guide. And again, this is something that we've been delaying, but because it does take time, it does take effort. And Devin, like has this amazing just brain for wonderful healing foods, that we are going to give this to you during this program. And so do you have anything you want to say about this?
I mean, yeah. Well, I think about, if you're here live today and you haven't yet watched some of the other days, like yesterday, we had an opportunity for homework to think about healthy holiday meals. And it's like, what are your favorites? Like, you don't have to be, I love how Delia mentioned, like, if you really think about your favorite parts of, for me, honestly, like my favorite part of Thanksgiving was never the turkey. Like, I'm just being honest. I mean, it's nice to have some turkey with some gravy. Like both Delia and I come from like meat loving like backgrounds. So this is just, we have walked out God's path for us. And, but it's one of those things. I actually just saw something on Facebook. It popped up this week and it said, it was I don't know who it was, but it was a quote and it was a beautiful picture. And it said, veganism is not a sacrifice. It's a joy. And that's what we were talking about today, of like, it really does become like, for the joy set before me, like giving up meat has been a willing sacrifice, like a lovely sacrifice. And so when you think about, what your favorite holiday meals really are, or your holiday dishes, right? Like, what would you take to the family buffet? And for me, there we go, mac and cheese. You can make an awesome plant-based mac and cheese. Let's do that. Challenge.
That's going to be on the guide.
Exactly. I mean, you think about like the green bean casserole, you can totally do that in a healthy plant-based way. You can do mashed potatoes all day long. Like there's so many wonderful healing foods that don't have to use these junky, like just artery clogging and glucose insulin receptor clogging foods. Like we can do it in a way that is super healthy. So yes, we want to create that. And again, like whatever your favorite recipe is, go back to day 2 and see if you can find a recipe. Like start to get in the groove of what this feels like to be able to, the internet, like you guys, we are so blessed nowadays with this growing in momentum. Like 20 years ago, you would not have seen, well, I don't even know how long ago was the internet born? Who knows? But like 20 years ago, there were not just like Google this whole food plant-based recipe, but now we can do that. But we're not going to do just like any random, because I hate like trying stuff and then it's like, oh, this is horrible. Like we don't want that to happen to you. So we're going to create a holiday recipe guide based on your favorites that you've mentioned. So get your vote in, get your homework done so we can know exactly what there's a demand for in our community. Sound good?
Oh, yeah. And then on the website, so danielchallengefordiabetes.com/diabetes slayer, I want you guys just to watch the full testimonies of, I've added Priscilla and you saw some of Shirley's, but there's a whole, a lot more, and Cricket's testimony as well. So Priscilla, just to kind of summarize, is like, she's down 31 pounds. And that's amazing. In a month and a half, I think, or 2 months, that's what she's done. Like, imagine if you could just 2 months, like by the new year, be 30 pounds down. Like, wouldn't that be awesome? And you could have, like, as you're enjoying your holiday meals, just feeling so good about what you're eating, right? Like there's just so much mental power with that, where it's like there's going to be a shift. And so same, you've already heard Shirley's and Cricket. So I encourage you guys just to watch it, just to go on that site, scroll down to the testimonials, and it's just videos that you can watch. And it really is just shows, and here's another video that you can watch that's on there. And I'll just play it real quick because it's people that we do our first
beginning. I prayed about
first month.
I needed to lose weight. I needed to get off my medicine. And that's when God put this program, it just appeared on my Facebook.
I am totally off insulin. I mean, my numbers did go high, but they're on the decline again.
Wow.
And this morning I had a 96 this morning. So I was glad about that.
Biggest win, like during the 3-day, would have to be that first day when my sugar went from 204 down to 125.
And I am losing weight, and I think I've dropped another, size.
I used to take Tylenol twice a day, the 8-hour, and I haven't hardly taken any since I started this. I don't have the pain I used to.
The thing that has helped me with this has been the spiritual part.
I'm trusting in God, and I just have to believe, He's got this and He's going to take care of it.
By the end of the week, I was always sick to my stomach. I had, really bad allergies. Lots of different things, inflammation and pain, and, and since I started this, the 3-day and then on into the 21-day, none of that has occurred. None of it.
First, I got up at 5:27, and I checked it because they say that in, between 3 and 5 is when the low part is.
Yeah.
It was 96. Yay! When I got up at 7, it was 100. Then at lunch, it was 85. At supper, it was 97. And I just checked it again, and it was 94.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Get inspired.
I love it.
Thank God. Amen. Because when you go to the doctor, they say, what is it they say? For the rest of your life.
All right. I know
Yeah.
hopelessness. It's just from day one, there's no hope given.
I chose the pain of discipline. And so as I do it, the habit over time, the burden gets less and less, where it's hardly any pain at all now. It's actually joy.
Right.
But those are the two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Wow.
That's good.
That's real good.
Yeah.
I just kept telling myself, no, God's promised me these things, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to beat this.
God made bodies to do this. What's happening to us now? God made our bodies to.
Right.
Yes.
I've said the whole time to God, there has to be a cure. There has to be something that will make a difference. When I came on and listened to you all, I was like, wow, that's hopeful. That's real hopeful. So I was like, God, if this could work, I sure do want to know about it.
Mm-hmm. I never get tired of that video. I just, it's, as Mary said, her doctors, my doctor, what did they tell us? For the rest of your life, right? And so to see people who have been there, given that sentence, right? That prison sentence, and have broken those chains. Mary, like she said, she was able to get off insulin just in those 21 days after years, over a decade of having to be on 50 units, I believe was the amount she was taking. Insulin is expensive. I don't know. I'm just wow, what God is doing. And part of that process, as some people do start to get off medication, we encourage you to do it with your doctors and do it in a safe way. And so we're there just to make sure things are done, in collaboration. And there's a lot of power with what can happen. And I just want to remind you guys, this is the last one for this year. And we're looking for 12 more disciples. Where y'all at?
Yeah.
And we know, God has big plans in 2020. And we don't like, yeah, I'm just so excited. So,
Oh, man.
um,
Yeah, we do. We have really discovered the kind of 12 is a great number to get some one-on-one time, some like we want to keep it small, we want to keep it intimate, so we are keeping it to 12 people. So there's, if this is something that you feel called, like, this is, we just encourage you. Someone asked, when does the 21-day challenge begin? We actually begin on Monday. So we want to be, we want to carry you through from the 3-day challenge to, as soon as possible. We kick off our 21-day challenge on Monday. And then, like Delia mentioned, the 21-day accelerated healing intensive component will be done just before Thanksgiving. So we'll be all primed up and supported and ready to go into the holidays and just take on that challenge like Daniel, with our resolve strengthened and our Jesus activations, our self-control and discipline. And there's just so much more. Like we can't even, every day we learn something new, and we just are continually pouring it into this community. So we love being connected. So with that being said, yes, new beginning. I love that you said that, Grace. I was on a call today, and this woman was telling me, she's actually my what do we call her? She's my mentor in the prophetic and growing in the prophetic grace and gifting. And she literally was sharing about how Oct, right? This is October. Oct means that prefix means 8. And so in the Gregorian calendar, this October used to be the 8th month of the year, even though now it's the 10th month. Oct actually means October. And she said the Lord has been speaking to her about 8. It's the number for new beginnings. And so praise God. I just love these confirmations. If we choose to do it, when do we need to let you know? Yeah. So thank you for that question. We have a Facebook, a website that you can sign up. Also, please, if you have any questions, again, we want to make ourselves available. Please reach out to us in Messenger if you need questions answered, if you need help signing up. Like, we don't want technology to be a challenge, and we know that it can be challenging for some. So let us know and reach out. You have permission to reach out to us in a private message through Messenger if you need help or have any questions. So with that,
yeah. Yeah, no, we're here. And like I said, if someone has they want to have a conversation, I'm down, just I'll hop on a call with you, talk you through it. Even if it's just technical issues on the order page, we are in full support here. We are making ourselves available, especially that's why we block off this week for you guys, because we know we need to be all in to get you these resources, and we schedule everything so that we can provide you what you need. So don't be hesitant. Don't be shy. We are all in with you guys, and we want to reward those of you that act fast. So the website is danielchallenge4diabetes.com/diabetes slayer. So if you can just type that into the comments so people can see it right away, we'll post it into the group later as well. But the first 3 who sign up get a special gift that's good enough for our King Jesus, frankincense and myrrh. So we have, we have a wonderful friend who's going to put together a frankincense and myrrh spray. And so I'm going to let Devin kind of explain what I know. I'm very early in the essential oils education phase. I understand the value of it, but frankincense and myrrh all throughout scripture, those are the oils that were talked about, that were gifted to the king. We know there's power behind that. And we have an amazing video of a testimony, someone that Devin knows named Roy, who one of his things was he would use those oils to help with his pancreatic function. And so, Devin, do you have any tidbits you want to mention on this spray that they will be sent out?
Yay!
Oh,
Will you check my is it Diabetes Slayer or Slayers?
or how about while you're talking, I'll type it in now because I'm not talking, so I can type.
Thanks, girl. All right, so this is really exciting. You know, we were thinking like, what other resources, what other ways can we help people get the results and just the, you know, the support, the physical supplements, the you know, prayer. Like we want to attack on all levels, and this giant must be slain, right? Yeah, so with that being said, frankincense and myrrh, we know that everything that was given to Jesus these were gifts for a king. Like the wise men, I was just reading this commentary a couple weeks ago in my Bible as I'm studying Revelation, I'm studying the book of Matthew. And as I was reading through the commentary in my Bible about when Jesus received these gifts, I was just in awe because it was talking about how this entourage that came in, these wise men, we always have it depicted like 3 wise men. The Bible doesn't say it was 3 wise men. The 3 wise men coming into the city of Jerusalem would not have caused such a stir as it did. Like Herod would not have gotten word if it was just 3 men. This was an entourage, probably around at least 100 people and their servants of wise men that came. They followed that star over Jesus's birth, right? And they gave him gifts for a king. So the power of frankincense and myrrh are very, like, again, throughout the Bible, they're well known for a lot of things, but the reason we wanted to add this as a bonus, as the Lord, as we were just discussing, like how can we give added value, we were like, well, my commentary said not only were there lots of wise men, these were you know, more than likely like Persian, Babylonian wise men, and they were descendants of disciples of Daniel, like, you know, from generations and generations past, Daniel's influence. And as we are through the Daniel challenge, through the book of Daniel, through you know, everything that the Lord has for us, we just thought it was so cool and uncanny, like not a coincidence. As I read that connection with the wise men who brought the frankincense and myrrh as gifts for Jesus, gifts for a king, we now know that frankincense and myrrh in combination is actually created. It's a common combination for grounding and like rooting our emotions and getting our hearts and minds through the smells and the essential oils and their frequency. It actually prepares our mind and our body for connection with God, for meditation. And this is one of the keys. And so this is why we thought it would be a really fun, you know, fast action bonus. So go ahead and jump on over www.danielchallengefordiabetes.com, Diabetes Slayer, if you want to grab one of those, you know, be one of the first 3. But with that, we also want to let you know, like, we just want to, as much as we can, we want to support you. We want to take away as much of the risk as we can. If this program is for you and you know that you're someone who is committed to doing this, a lifestyle for just for the Lord, for his glory, letting your life, like we see the obedience of Daniel literally changed a nation, right? One person obedient to God and his word can change a nation. So there's no limit to what God can do with any of our lives if we give him our obedience. And one of the best ways I've seen to become more in tune with God's voice is through cleaning out our system, our diet. And again, like Delia shared, like her testimony of how when she got on this lifestyle, her all the gunk was cleansed out of her system. And the way God designed our bodies to hear his voice, she received a message from God in a dream. Like that's so powerful. And so we want, again, just to take away the all the risk as much as we can. If you're committed to yourself, then when you commit to the program and walk through the program, if you refer 3 people that sign up, you will literally get it for free. You will literally get the money of your investment paid back to you. So really powerful, really beautiful. That's about as much as we can think of to boost the value for this program. So I hope it's as much of a no-brainer for you. And one of the things that that we want to encourage you is that you are worth it. Like, that is the power of getting started on anything, is recognizing that you really are worth it. Like, your life is worth it. If Jesus was willing to lay down his life and die on a cross for you, for your life, for you to have access to abundant health and abundant life, like, we truly believe that Jesus made a statement on the cross that you are worth it. And so we encourage you, because we've committed the last 3 days, and we are going to have a couple of bonus days, because we agree with Jesus. You are worth it. And so I just want to invite you, like, wherever you are right now in the room, say it out loud. Say it, speak it over yourself. I am worth it, because you are. That's who you are as a child of God. So with that being said, yeah, we loved that revelation. We were so excited to see that connection, and we couldn't think of any better bonus that God has brought all these pieces together. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you'll join us. Thank you for sticking with us. And again, we will post a little bit more. That link will be posted. And we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Sorry about jumping on a little late today. I'm going to try and get that set up. Those bonus live sessions, going to get those set up in the unit. So we will be on time tomorrow. Much love to everyone. Again, the website should be easy. It's not Diabetes Slayers, as it says there on the ticker. If you type that in, and it's just Slayer, singular. Sorry about that.
It's all good. And we'll post the link, and just reach out to us if you have any questions.
Yes.
We're available. And we love you guys. You guys are family. Even though we haven't met in person yet, we've met virtually. We are connected. We know God has us all connected. So yeah, we are there to support you in any way possible. So thank you all for watching, everyone that's still on, and we just love you. So we'll see you tomorrow bright and early. And Dr. Deanna Smith, we are excited to chat, and y'all mark your calendars for that one and have some questions ready. So we'll see you soon.
Love you. Talk soon. Bye.